1970. Chapter 1. Nobody had reported a wallaby missing. Nevertheless, a grainy image had made it onto the evening news, confirming that a wallaby was indeed at large in London. We were patrolling Vauxhall when a report of a nearby sighting came in. Our core operation that night was to tackle robberies and drug dealing outside local clubs. Nothing was happening, so we radioed to accept the call and drove away from the lights and music. We pulled up next to a dimly lit row of garages, squinting at the pixelated outlines of bollards and bins, alert for signs of movement. It was almost midnight, and the street was completely still. Someone passed around a pack of Percy pigs, and we each took a handful without lowering our gaze, scanning left and right. After 5 minutes, the sergeant decided to drive around a bit, in case the wallaby had moved since the caller spotted it. We circled the area for 10 minutes but found nothing, looping round and round the same few streets. What had seemed plausible when we accepted the call began to feel improbable, and then absurd. A call came out. A robber on a bike, IC1 male, late teens, was making a getaway not far from us. The sergeant switched on the blue lights and siren and raced towards Stockwell, pumping the bullhorn at each junction. She turned sharply into the estate the robber had cycled into. "Hold tight," she shouted, and we gripped the headrests in front of us, bracing as the van hit a speed bump, then another and another. We followed the chase on the radio. We had been hoping to reach the robber first, but we could hear a response car ahead of us closing in on him. A minute later, they caught him in a car park, and by the time we pulled up, the young man was in handcuffs, blood pouring from his nose. "Honestly, Nathan, that was the worst getaway I've ever seen," an officer was saying, searching through his first aid kit for a dressing. "We're on an estate. I'm in a car, you're on a bike. There are tiny alleyways everywhere. What were you thinking turning in here?" Nathan didn't reply. He'd made a sudden turn into the car park and attempted to duck below the security barrier, a daredevil limbo that resulted in him headbutting the pole and being knocked backwards off his bike. Nathan's phone rang and the officer answered it for him. "Hi, yes, Nathan's phone. I'm afraid Nathan's not really free to speak at the moment. He's standing next to me, in handcuffs. Yeah, he'll call you back." The situation was under control, so we left the officers to it. As we were driving out of the estate, the sergeant spotted a group of IC3 males from the ABM gang in the stairwell of a high-rise and suggested we do some searches. "We'll go in there, see if it stinks of cannabis, and if it does, there's our grounds," she said, which should be easy because those always stink of cannabis. Half of us went through the front door, the sergeant shouting "Boo!" as she entered. 6 teenage boys ran out of the back door, where our colleagues were waiting for them. We told the boys we suspected them of possession of cannabis and we were going to search them. They spread their legs and raised their arms, as though they had been tagged in a game of stuck in the mud. We emptied their pockets, skimmed their waistbands, slid the backs of our hands up the inside of their legs, attempting conversation all the while. "How's your summer been? Have you been away at all? Why have you got 5 phones?" "This has been a bone summer," one boy replied. A friend of theirs, IC3 female, early 20s, walked over shouting at us. "You're completely out of order. This is our lives. This is our lives." She walked up to each of us, holding a notebook and pen, writing down our shoulder numbers. "Why you got the right to do this?" she asked. "What gives you the right to do this?" We did not find any drugs or weapons on the boys, so we wrote our 5090s, said goodnight and got back in the van. "Who is she?" someone asked the sergeant. "Yeah, we know her," the sergeant replied. "She spent 5 years inside for firearms. She was hiding them for ABM." It was nearly midnight. We were about to stop for a break when a harassment call came out. An IC2 male, mid-30s, was harassing an IC2 teenage girl at the centre of an estate in Brixton. We sped there on blue lights, arriving within 5 minutes. But when we pulled up, everything seemed quiet.